सरसीरुहाम्बकी देवी तव चरणाश्रित जन ज्ञान प्रदायिनी सरसीरुहाम्बकी देवी वाणी वागभिमानी वीणा पुस्तक पाणी वाणी वागभिमानी वीणा पुस्तक पाणी माणिक्य रत्नाभरणी कल्याणी सरसीरुहाम्बकी देवी लोकनायक रमणी राकेन्दु निभवदनी लोकनायक रमणी राकेन्दु निभवदनी शोक मोह विनाशिनी जननी सरसीरुहाम्बकी देवी तव चरणाश्रित जन ज्ञान प्रदायिनी सरसीरुहाम्बकी देवी अक्षर रूपिणी अखिल विश्व जननी अक्षर रूपिणी अखिल विश्व जननी लक्ष्मी नारायणी आहे ब्रह्माणी लक्ष्मी नारायणी आहे ब्रह्माणी सरसीरुहाम्बकी सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च Humble prostrations to one and all. So in the last class, we had seen what this Agni-Vidya is. So Agni-Vidya is basically worshipping the Supreme Lord. Brahmajatnyam devam idyam viditva. that Supreme Lord who is identified with the entire cosmos. So what happens when we worship that Supreme Lord? We will have to identify with the entire creation. We will have to merge our individuality in the totality. Pleasing that Supreme Lord is possible only when I don't perform actions only for my sake. No, I perform action for the welfare and well-being of the totality. Bhagwan is pleased when I perform action for the welfare and well-being of all. But generally what is that what we do? We generally perform action thinking only about ourselves. So all our actions are ego and egocentric desires, selfish desires. Always the question we ask is, what will I get? So this attitude has to change. The attitude should be, oh Lord, you have given me all these abilities, these talents, the very life in me, it is given by you. So therefore, I will use this life, I will use these abilities and talents, this instruments called BMI, I will use it to perform actions in such a way that it pleases you. I will use it in performing action in such a way that the welfare and well-being of all around me are taken care. So this way I will perform action to please you. So this is basically the Karma Yoga mentioned in the Bhagavad Gītā. Interestingly, you will find here the ritual of Agni-Vidya is not mentioned. What are the mantras to be chanted and how the bricks have to be arranged. All those information has been given to Nachiketa, but nothing is mentioned here. The ritualistic part has not been mentioned. So what does it mean? What it means is, in the modern context, you don't have to worry about the rituals. Ritual is nothing but the physical action. In this modern context, that physical action is nothing but performing our duties and responsibilities. We don't have to worry about a separate ritual, it is not needed. So perform your duties in such a way that it pleases the Lord. So in this modern context, this is what we have to understand from Agni-Vidya. Now some may say, I am not interested in Agni-Vidya, I am interested only in Brahmavidyā, so teach me Brahmavidyā. Now this particular portion in the beginning of the Upanishad also gives us an indication that without Agni-Vidya, Brahmavidyā is not possible. So what happens in Agni-Vidya? There is an expansion of identification. And what happens when there is an expansion of identification? There is purification of mind. What do we mean when we say pure mind? A mind filled with all virtues of life, that is called a pure mind. And when you expand your identification, then the heart is filled with all virtues. Such a virtuous mind is necessary for gaining Brahmavidyā. Any Vidya has to be gained by the mind. Only a pure mind is subtle enough, sukshma enough to grasp the subtle knowledge. To grasp a subtle knowledge, a subtle instrument, a subtle mind is necessary. What is a subtle mind? A pure mind is a subtle mind. How to purify the mind? Expansion of identification is the way. Working for the welfare and well-being of everyone is the way. So when we perform action, in order to please the Lord, without ego and egocentric desires, in a spirit of cooperation, performing our best with the idea of the welfare of everyone. So, keeping the bigger picture in mind, when this way we perform action, then that attitude is what is called as Yajña-bhāva. Yajña means sacrificing oneself for the welfare of all, sacrificing the individuality for the welfare of the totality. This Yajña-bhāva is glorified in Bhagavad Gīta in the 3rd chapter. In 3rd chapter it is said, Tasmāt sarvagatam brahma nityam yajñe pratishtitam. That Supreme Lord, that all-pervading Lord is established where? In Yajña. Now what does it mean? What it means is, only a person who has purified his heart by offering himself through his actions, the one who has offered himself for the welfare of the totality, the one who has effaced himself for the welfare of the totality, one who has merged the individuality in the totality, meaning one who has effaced the ego, only such a person is fit to reach the Supreme. Only such a mind is qualified to gain the knowledge of the Supreme. Tasmāt sarvagatam brahma nityam yajñe pratishtitam. The same idea is mentioned here. So, Agni-Vidya is not something which we can bypass, not possible. The whole of Brahmavidyā is dropping the mind by witnessing the mind, but dropping the mind is not possible without purifying the mind. The whole of Brahmavidyā is nothing but disidentifying from body, mind, intellect, but disidentification is not possible. Dropping the identification is not possible without expansion of identification. Now this has to be understood. Very many people, they bypass this path and they try to drop the identification without expanding the identification. They try to drop the mind without purifying the mind. And that is why we find a lot of difficulty in meditation. 3rd chapter, that verse itself is only for that. Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasasmaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyachara sauchyate. What happens when the mind is not purified and when we sit for meditation and when we try to practice Brahmavidyā? Brahmavidyā is nothing but abidance in consciousness. We are not able to abide in consciousness because the mind wanders. An impure mind which is not purified through Agni-Vidya, through Karma Yoga, an impure mind will only wander in the world of sense objects. So, wandering mind is the problem of an impure mind. So, therefore, mind has to be purified. So, dropping the mind is not the first step, purifying the mind is first step. So, it is exactly like the fruit. The fruit in the tree, it has to remain with the tree, it has to grow, become ripe, and then it has to fall from the tree. In the same way, we have to live in the world, cultivate all virtues of the mind. Renunciation of the world is not the first step. Making use of the world in order to purify the mind, that is the first step. That's why Bhagavan in Karma Yoga gives 2 paths. What are the 2 paths? Jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. 2 paths are given by me, Arjuna. What are the 2 paths? For the advanced, Jnana Yoga, the path of meditation. For the beginners, the path of Karma Yoga, the path of action. So, how should we perform action? When actions are performed for the welfare of all without ego and egocentric desires, as a worship of the Lord, to please the Lord, then the mind becomes pure. Such a pure mind only can gain the highest knowledge. So that aspect is what is mentioned here. The fruit has to grow, become ripe and then fall. In the same way, the mind has to grow in all virtues. Only such a virtuous mind can be dropped. The final goal is manasam tu kim margane krite naiva manasam. Observe the mind, witness the mind, and then you come to know that there is no mind. But this is possible only with a virtuous mind, a sattvic mind. Dropping the mind is not the first step. Purification of mind is the first step. Exactly like the pole vault game. Dropping the pole is not the first step. What is the first step? Climbing the pole is the first step. So first that pole vaulter, he runs, fixes the pole, and as the pole straightens up, he climbs the pole, and by the time the pole has become perpendicular to the ground, then alone he drops the pole. It is not that in the beginning itself he drops the pole. No. Climbing the pole is the first step. Now what is this climbing the pole? This pole is nothing but the mind. Climbing the pole means from tamas to rajas, from rajas to sattva. Purification of the mind is climbing the ladder of this mind. Finally, when the mind has become sattvic, then you are able to drop the mind. So therefore, this vidya is not something which we can bypass. So, in the process, what happens is, when we purify the mind, such a purified mind, the added benefit is, on one side, of course, we become qualified for receiving the highest knowledge. On the other side, such a beautiful mind creates a beautiful, conducive environment around us. Now, this is called going to the higher world. So, in this world also, he has a beautiful world around him. After death also, he goes to the higher worlds. Because the mind is a virtuous mind. Such a mind can project only a virtuous world, a beautiful world. This is the meaning, going to the higher world. So, Brahmajatnyam Devam Idyam Viditva. So, worshipping that Supreme Lord who is the Lord of the entire universe, worshipping with our actions. Such a person, now this is called a Nichaya, identifying with the totality, considering the totality as one's own self, identifying with the totality. That is the meaning Nichaya. Nichaya means what? Atmarupena drishtva, Bhagavan Shankarāchārya says. Considering it as me, just like a person considers his own family as me. My family is not something different, it is me only. So, looking after my family is equal to looking after myself. This is called as Nichaya, Atmarupena drishtva, totally identifying with it. So, such a person, what happens to him? Atyantam shantim eti, such a mind which identifies with everyone and serves everyone without ego and egocentric desires. Such a mind becomes a peaceful mind, a cheerful mind, a virtuous mind, a healthy mind, a light mind. What is a sign that we have a very good mind? The sign is the mind becomes light, very light. It's a joy to carry such a peaceful mind, exactly like physical body. What is the proof that you are healthy? The proof is that you don't feel that there is a body. This is a sign of a healthy body. The sign is that you don't feel that there is a body, then you are healthy. But suppose there is a pain here, there, some problem, then all the time you are bothered about that pain. The mind cannot think of anything else but that pain. You are stuck in that part of that body where that disease is there. When you are reminded again and again that there is a body which you are carrying, then that means you have an unhealthy body. The body should not remind us that it is there. That is a sign of a healthy body. In the same way, what is a sign of a healthy mind? A miserable, suffering mind always makes us aware that there is a mind which is miserable, isn't it? What is a healthy state of mind? A mind which you are not even aware of. A light mind. So, what happens when we live such a virtuous life, identifying with the totality, that mind becomes such a peaceful, virtuous mind. Shantim atyantam eti. Right. Now, the conclusion of this topic, the next verse, verse number 18, page number 37. त्रिणाचिकेतः त्रयमेतद् विदित्वा य एवं विद्वांश्चिनुते नाचिकेतम् समृत्युपाशान् पुरतः प्रणोद्य शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके त्रिणाचिकेतः त्रयमेतद् विदित्वा य एवं विद्वांश्चिनुते नाचिकेतम् समृत्युपाशान् पुरतः प्रणोद्य शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके. Yes. So now Yamarāja says, Yah Trinachiketah, the one who has performed this Nachiketa-Vidya, Agni-Vidya 3 times, Vidwan, after knowing it, Evam Etat Trayam Viditva, Etat Trayam Viditva, knowing these 3. So earlier it has been mentioned the type of brick should be used, how the arrangement has to be, and how many numbers have to be used. So the 3 things are mentioned there. Etat Trayam Viditva, knowing these 3. Nachiketam Chinute, the one who performs this Nachiketa-Vidya, Agni-Vidya, Saha, such a person, Purataha. Purataha means what? Sharirapātāt purvameva, even before the physical death. Purataha, even before dropping the body, means even while living in this world. Mrtyu-pāshan pranodya. Pranodya means destroying. Destroying what? Mrtyu-pāsha, the fetters of death, the chains of death. Even before dropping the body, he destroys the fetters of death. Shokatigaha, going beyond all sorrows. Svargaloke modate, he rejoices in the Svargaloka. Now here you will find that the last line, Shokatigo modate Svargaloke, it is the same line used by Nachiketa in verse number 12. So earlier Nachiketa also has said this. I have heard the description of Swarga. So he had told something. So now here when Yamaraja uses the same line, Shokadigo modate Svargaloke. So this is from verse number 12. You see the verse number 12 last line and this line, it is the same thing. So therefore Yamaraja says, yes, your understanding about Svargaloka is right, this is how it is. So Yamaraj confirms the information which Nachiketa has. That's the meaning, the last line, the same thing. So here, what does Yamaraj say? Such a person who does Nachiketa-Vidya, who performs it, and thus purifies his mind, and thus expands his identification with the totality, with the Virat. Such a person, what happens to him? Mrtyu-pāshan purataha pranodya. He even before dropping the body, meaning even while living in this world, Mrtyu-pāshan pranodya, destroying the Mrtyu-pāsha. Now what are these Mrtyu-pāshas? What are these fetters of death, the chains of death? So all these negativities of the mind, they are called as the chains which bind us to death. One is chained to death means what? He doesn't want death, but he has no other choice but to die. Chained to death means making him one with death. Means what? Again and again he has to die. He doesn't want to die, but he has to die again and again. That is the meaning, chaining a person to death. He has no freedom. There is no independence. This is the meaning, chaining a person to death. But what are the chains which makes that person tied to death? What are the chains? So Bhagavan Shankarāchārya says all the negativities of the mind. Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha, Ahankara, Mamakara, these negativities, they are the chains. Now this we have to understand. So what happens when I live a selfish life only for myself? What happens is, in the mind there is a feeling, this is me, this is mine, that is you, that is yours. So I and mine, you and yours come. This is what happens when we identify, narrow down our identification to oneself. So this is me and mine, you and yours. Now what happens? There is a difference. So now I start hating that person. I start competing with that person. I become jealous of that person. I try to hoard things of that person, isn't it? I have the fear of that person that he may take away my things. So there is fear, there is greed, and therefore there is worry, anxiety, there is a fear of insecurity, there is competition, there is jealousy, there is superiority complex, there is inferiority complex. Now all these are called Mrtyu-pāsha. Why is it called Mrtyu-pāsha? With these negativities of the mind, I am ensuring my re-death. I am ensuring my coming back to this world. So here also I become miserable. I go to a miserable world again. Again after that I come back. So birth-death cycle is ensured when I again and again entertain these negative emotions. So these negative emotions are called Mrtyu-pāsha. I am forced to do adharma, and as a result of these karma phala, adharma karma phalas, I am again and again forced to come back to this world. So therefore they are called Mrtyu-pāsha. But what happens to this person? He expands his identification, becomes free from all these fetters, all these raga, dvesha, ahankara, mamakara, etc. So he is as though destroying these chains of death. When? Not after death, but purataha, even while living itself. So when we cultivate these virtues of life, right here, while living, not after death, while living itself, he creates a heavenly world around, outside and inside. Inside there is peace, outside there is harmony with the creation. Now see. So what is the proof that a person is going to go to heaven? The proof is, even while living, he creates a heavenly world around. What is the proof that a person is going to hell? Even while living with his selfishness, self-centeredness, he creates a hell here. So definitely he is going to hell only. Whatever you create here, you go after death also. So purataha, even while living here, it is not that he will go to Swarga only after death. No, he will create a heavenly world while living itself. Because of his virtuous mind, because of his beautiful mind. And how did that beautiful mind come? Because of his identification with the totality, because of his worship of the Supreme Lord, considering the totality as himself. So, Mrtyu-pāsha purata pranodya, and after death what happens to such a virtuous person? Shokatigaha, free from all sorrows. Modate Svargaloke, he goes to the higher worlds. This is the meaning. So, now Yamarāja asked Nachiketa to ask for the third boon. What is that third boon? Let us see the next verse, verse number 19. Eshate agnirnachiketasvargyo yam avranitha dvitiyena varena etamagnim tavaiva pravaksyanti janasaha tritiyam varam nachiketo vrinishva. Eshate agnirnachiketasvargyo yam avranitha dvitiyena varena etamagnim tavaiva pravaksyanti janasaha tritiyam varam nachiketo vrinishva. Yes. So, this verse is in page number 39, verse number 19. So, now Yamaraja says, Eshate Swargyaha Agni. This is your Agni-Vidya, which takes a person to Swarga. This is the one, whatever I have said, this is the one, capable of giving you Svargaloka. Yam dvitiyena varena avranitha. This is the one you have asked as the second boon. So, what you have asked for the second boon, that I have given this Agni-Vidya. Janasaha, etam agnim, janasaha, the people, etam agnim, this Agni-Vidya, tava eva iti pravakshanti. They will say, it is yours. So, this Agni-Vidya will be known by your name. Yamarāja again repeats it. So, this Agni-Vidya will be known as Nachiketa-Vidya. People will call this Agni-Vidya as yours. Now, Nachiketa, Tritiyam varam vrinishva. O Nachiketa, now you must ask the third one, the third boon among the three. So, now Nachiketa asks the third boon, which is the next verse, page number 41, verse number 20, a very famous verse. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye asti tyeke nayam asti chaike etad vidyam anushishtastvayaham varanamesha varastritiyah. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye asti tyeke nayam asti chaike etad vidyam anushishtastvayaham varanameshah varastritiyah. So, this is the third boon which Nachiketa is asking. So, what is he asking? O Lord, Yamaraja, Manushye. Manushye means Manushya Loke. In this human world, Ya iyam vichikitsa. There is a vichikitsa, there is a doubt. In this human world, there is a particular doubt which people entertain. There is a doubt. Regarding what? Prete, regarding the dead people. So once a person dies, people have this doubt. So whenever we say doubt, there has to be two arguments. So what are the two arguments? Asti iti eke. Some people say it is there. Asti, it is there. Iti eke. One group of people say it is there. Nayam asti iti cha eke. Another group of people say na ayam asti, it is not there. So, in this human world, there is a particular doubt which is haunting everyone. Most of the people in this world, they have this doubt, especially regarding this dead person. So, when a person dies, some people say it is there. Some say no, it is not there. Right. Now, my request to you is, etad vidyam aham tvaya anushishtah. This particular knowledge, this vidya, etad vidyam aham, I, tvaya, by you, anushishtah. I desire to be taught by you. What? This particular knowledge. So Lord, I want this knowledge. Give this clarity. Clear this doubt which I have. Varanam eshah varaha tritiyah. This is my third boon among the three boons. Now this verse is generally translated as after death. Now regarding death, when a person dies, some say asti, it is there, meaning life is still there after death. This particular jivatma is still there after death. What do the other people say? Na ayam asti. No, this jivatma is not there. Everything is over. This is the way generally it is translated, and of course this question is also valid. The question is there life after death? Now this is a very famous question. Is everything over with death or something else remains? This particular person who has left his physical body, is he still there or not? So some say asti, some say na asti. This is a general way this translation is made. So first we will discuss this part. There are very many people in this world, especially the materialistic people, whom we call it as charvakas. People who believe only what their senses see. People who believe only what can be proved. So according to them, their logic is once death happens, everything is over. Because according to them, this body is an assemblage of so many chemical things. And what is the definition of life according to them? Life is nothing but a byproduct of this chemical combination. Consciousness is nothing but a byproduct of this chemical combination. And once the body disintegrates, this consciousness also goes. This is one argument given by the materialists. Now we may say, "Arey, but this is matter, but that is consciousness, there is so much of difference." How can you say life is a byproduct of this matter? The inert matter, combination of inert matter, how can it bring out a sentient awareness, consciousness? So then the argument given by these materialist people is, see, It is possible that two different things combine and a third thing is produced out of it. It is possible, which is very different from these two. So, entity A combining with entity B and producing entity C, this C has no property of A or B. Such a case is possible. So, the example they give is, so you take this betel leaf which is green, then you take this lime which is white, and then you take that nut also which is some brown in color, and then you chew it. Then what is the color which comes? The color is red, that pan which they eat. Now this red color is not there in any of these ingredients. It is there only in the product. So see, in the same way, consciousness is born out of combination of chemicals. Now this is one argument of materialistic people. So you don't have to give too much of importance to consciousness. So if this argument is followed, so therefore the chemicals have come together, therefore life is there. Chemicals will disintegrate and go and the life is not there and it's over, everything is over there. You don't have to worry about this person after death because nothing exists. It is something like a car. A car is functioning, it is running around because the assemblage of so many parts. And what happens when that assembly, when each and every part disintegrates, then the whole car is gone. Now where is the car? Car is not there, gone. It has gone back to its elements. So in the same way, once a person dies, he is no more. Na ayam asti iti cheke. But what about others? Others say, no, he is there. The physical body is gone, fine, but the Sukshma Sharira is there, the Jivatma is there. That thought bundle, that Vasana bundle is there. It may not be able, we may not be able to perceive, but it is there. So after death, is the Jivatma there or not? Some say yes, it is there, some say no, it is not there. Now, when you see this verse, it appears this is the question. Is there life after death? When you see the words, word by word, meaning it appears this is the question being asked. But please understand, if you start analyzing this verse, keeping in mind whatever has happened in the past, then we understand that question is not that. Question is something more deeper. Why we have to say this? We have to say this because if Nachiketa is asking whether is there life after death, if Nachiketa is asking this. Now in the previous verse we find that Nachiketa himself is saying when his father was doing everything to go to Svargaloka, that means he had faith that yes, there is a higher world after death. That itself shows. There Nachiketa makes this statement, Anandānāma te lokaha tānsagacchati tādatat. A person who is giving such kind of dilapidated, useless cows, he will go to Anandaloka, he will go to Naraka. What does it mean? It means that Nachiketa did not have any doubt regarding life after death. Otherwise, he would not have made such a statement. See? And the very fact that Nachiketa has come here to this Yamaloka, how did he come here? Definitely after death. The very fact that he was waiting to go to Yamaloka, that itself shows that he had faith in this. And again he is describing Svargaloka. Nachiketa is the one who is describing Svargaloka. So what does it mean? He had faith that there is life after death. So as far as life after death is concerned, Nachiketa did not have any doubt. All the previous verses clearly indicate it. Then the question is, then what is this question? So this question has to be understood. So Bhagavan Shankarāchārya says, actually this question is, Sharira Indriya Manobuddhi Vyatiriktah Dehantara sambandhi Atma, whether such an Atma is there. So the question is, other than the body, other than these senses, other than the mind, other than the intellect, Sharira, Indra, Indriya, Mano, Buddhi, Vyatiriktaha. Vyatiriktaha means other than all this. Other than the body, mind, intellect, senses, other than this. Deha Antara, other than this BMI, is there something else in me which is associated with me, but it is not me. It is not this Jivatma. So in this Jivatma, which is nothing but body, mind, intellect, senses, etc., this is the Jivatma. Is there something in this Jivatma other than this Jivatma, higher than this Jivatma, but associated with Jivatma, but untouched by this Jivatma? Is there something else there? This is the question. Because after death, yes, mind, intellect exist, Sukshma Sharira exists, Sthula Sharira is gone, gross body is gone, but this subtle body exists. The question here is, I accept subtle body exists, but is there something other than this subtle body? Now, why is he asking this question? Now, this also has to be understood. He is asking this question because, now see, you do punya karma, you go to Svargaloka. Fine. In Svargaloka, what happens? You indulge in all pleasures and finally all your punya is exhausted, and once the punya is exhausted, Shine punye Mrtyu-lokam vishanti. You have to come back to this world. Again you come do punya, again you go back to the higher world, again you come back after exhaustion. Now this goes on and on and on. Fine, you are going to Svargaloka, but a person gets fed up. His question is this all to life? So is this all? You come to this world, be a righteous person, good person, do everything good, fine, and then go to Svargaloka, enjoy all that, again come back, again perform action, again go there, again come back, again go there. If you say that there is nothing other than this Jivatma, then this will be a infinite process, unending process, because Jivatma is always there. And he will have to come back, he will have to go. So this will continue on and on and on and on. If you say there is no higher reality other than this BMI, then this process will go on endlessly. But suppose you say there is something higher, there is something permanent other than this BMI, then I can fix my attention there. I can work hard for that so that I can escape even this going and coming. Then there is a purpose of life which can be very clear. What will be the purpose of life then? The purpose of life will be to attain that reality so that I can put an end to this birth-death cycle. So this question is very important, because then I will get a clear direction with respect to how I must spend my life. So Bhagavan Shankarāchārya says, Etat vijnāna adhīnaha paraf purusharthaha. This question is very important, because what will I do with my life? I will get a clear understanding if you can give me this answer. If you say, yes, there is something higher exists, then I can put forth my entire life in trying to gain that supreme reality, gaining which I can escape from this jivatva-bhava, jiva-bhava. I can escape, and thus I can escape this going and coming process. So his question is, can I even get rid of this, the very process of going to Svargaloka? Can I put an end to the entire process, birth-death process? This is the question. Because it is very clear you cannot remain in Svargaloka permanently. Again you will come back. Coming back means again being born. Birth, growth, decay, death, the process will continue. Suffering is there. Even you are the noblest of human beings, even then the pain of birth, death, old age, disease is there in this Mrtyu-loka. Fine, in Svargaloka it is not there, fine, but you have to come back. So the question is, can I put an end to this Jiva Bhava? Is there some higher reality knowing which I can put an end to this? So this has to be understood. So asti nasti, it is not whether life after death exists or not. No. As far as Nachiketa is concerned, he is very clear there is life after death. Physical body may not be there, but the subtle body is always there, which goes to Swarga. He has no doubt regarding that. So the question is there something else in the Jivatma other than the gross body and the subtle body? Other than Sharira Indriya Mano Buddhi, is there something else? So this question has to be understood clearly. Why is he asking this question? If you say that yes, there is something else, then now my purpose of life will be very clear. My goal of life will be to attain that and put an end to this birth-death cycle. Put an end to this whole process. But if you say no, then it will be a very disappointing thing, because then there is no purpose in life also. But Nachiketa feels that there has to be something. Why? Because he knew, Anupashya yatha purve, pratipashya tatha pare. The wise people, the great people, they have always stuck to righteousness. So there is some higher goal which is there to be achieved. It is not just going to Svargaloka, it cannot be. There has to be a higher goal. Other than just going merely going to Svargaloka and enjoying pleasure. No, there has to be something higher. So intuitively he feels that there is some reality. So I want to gain knowledge regarding that reality. So this is the question. Varanam esha varastritiyaha. Now see the response of Yamaraja. Now you will always find that when the mind is pure, just like an iron piece is attracted towards a magnet, an iron piece which is not covered by mud, it will not be attracted by the magnet, but an iron piece which is very clear, which is pure, just like effortlessly it gets attracted to the magnet, in the same way a pure mind will naturally entertain this kind of question which Nachiketa has entertained. Is there something higher in me, other than me, different from me, which is controlling me? Is there something higher? This question automatically comes in a pure mind. So now, what is Yamaraja's answer? Verse number 21, page number 46. Devairatrapi vichikitsitam pura nahi suvitnyeya manuresha dharmaha anyam varam nachiketo vrinishva mamoparotsi ratimasrujainam. Devairatrapi vichikitsitam pura nahi suvitnyeya manuresha dharmaha anyam varam nachiketo vrinishva Mamoparotsirati masrajainam. So what is Yamaraj saying? Nachiketa. So when this question was asked, atra, atra means etasmin vishaye, in this matter. Nachiketa, in this matter which you have asked. Pura, even from the ancient times. Devaihi api, even among devatas. Vichikitsitam, they have doubted this. So this doubt which you are asking, it is not just in the human world, as you said, Manushya-loke. No. This doubt is there even in heavens also, even amongst devatas also. So this doubt is there everywhere. Now see, here also you see. Why should devata have a doubt whether life is there after death? Because they are already in Svargaloka. So therefore, now this doubt, whether there is something there in Jivatma other than this doubt is possible. So even among devatas, this doubt is there. Not only among human beings, even among devatas also this doubt is there. But Nachiketa, let me tell you, nahi sutnyayam. It is a subject matter which is not sutnyayam, which is easily, which anyone can understand. No, it is not sutnyayam, it is not easily understandable. Why is it so, Bhagavan? Eshaha dharmaha anu. Because the nature of this subject is, this question we are asking, that subject matter is anu. Anu means subtle. Anu means subtle. It's a very subtle knowledge. So therefore, Nachiketa, anyam varam, Nachiketo vranisha, you ask something else. Don't ask this. Ma uparotsi, don't pressurize me, don't compel me. Uparotsi means to stop, but here it means don't pressurize me. Don't force me. Enamma atisraja. This matter, you leave it to me. Ma uparotsi. So here two ma's are there. Ma uparotsi. So one ma means me. The other ma means don't. So it is not don't. It is don't stop me. So one is for don't, the other is me. Ma uparotsi. Don't pressurize me to answer this question. Don't compel me, because this subject matter is a very, very subtle matter and there is no guarantee that you will get it. I may explain, fine, I may explain to you, but there is no guarantee that even though I may explain, you may understand. There is no guarantee. Because the subject matter is very subtle. So why unnecessarily waste your boon? Only 3 are there, 2 already over, now only 1 is there. Why unnecessarily waste your boon? I may explain and you may not understand, and thus 1 boon is wasted, the last one is wasted. So therefore, isn't it better that you ask something else, which you will definitely get? This is the point. So now, here it is said, nahi sutnyayam. It is not something which can be easily understandable. Why is it so? So Bhagavan Shankarāchārya says, prakritehi janehi shrutam api natnyayam. People who are prakrita janas, uncultured people, shrutam api, even if they listen to this Brahmavidyā, this spiritual knowledge, natnyayam, they will not understand anything. So your qualification is the purification of mind. You see this? If the mind is not purified, then even if you are exposed to this knowledge, you will not gain this knowledge. That's what the meaning is. Why? Because subject matter is very subtle. Esha dharmaha anu. It's a very subtle subject. So, if you have to understand a subtle subject, your mind should be equally subtle. What is the meaning prakrita? Actually, prakrita comes from the term prakriti. Prakriti means nature. So, prakrita means natural. So, Pujya Gurudev used to say, when somebody abuses you, you abuse back. That is natural but not cultural. See that? Someone is hating you, you hate back. Someone hits you, you hit back. This is natural but not cultural. You see the difference? So there is a huge difference between a cultured man and an uncultured man. So prakrita here has to be understood uncultured. So what is the nature of a person? An uncultured person is a very natural person. Natural means what? Indulgence in sense pleasure, natural to him, not for a cultured person. Telling a lie, natural to him, for an uncultured person. Compromising with higher values, natural to him. You see? Quarreling with others, natural to him. Living a life based on likes and dislikes, natural to him. So that is why the term prakrita has come. Living an ego and egocentric life, natural to him. So such people who are prakrita, uncultured, for them this subject matter is nahi sutnyaya. Now please note this point. It is said na sutnyayam. It is not easily understandable. It is not said atnyayam. It is impossible to understand. No. This subject matter is not something which is impossible to understand. No. For a cultured person, for a person who has purified his mind, for that person this knowledge is gainable. It is not impossible to gain, but it is difficult to gain if the mind is not prepared. Now this is where the importance of Agni-Vidya comes, please understand. This is where the importance of Karma Yoga comes. Karma Yoga is for the beginner to purify the mind. Jnana Yoga is for the advanced. So Brahmavidyā we can thoroughly understand and practice only if the mind is purified, and for purification of mind the earlier portions are necessary. That is why in the second boon Agni-Vidya is asked. See the sequence in which the things are going. So now Yamarāja says, don't ask this question. Don't force me. Don't compel me. Now please understand, Yamarāja wants to give this knowledge to Nachiketa, but now he is only testing Nachiketa. There is a test. So now in the next verse you will find Yamarāja gives a list of things which he can bless. Nachiketa, why do you want to ask all that? Forget about it. Leave it to me. See, now you have a third boon. See what all things I can give you. See what all things I can gain. So he gives a big list of temptations. All these things are to test the qualification of Nachiketa. So those portions we will see in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।